because INEC does not require money August, September. INEC will go through, like the INEC chairman said, will go through a procurement process and will give a certain percentage for the procurement process to start. So what the leader of the Senate is saying that said that the money is needed, nobody wants to block the election, because if the election is blocked, it affects both PDP and APC.
We're going to get into the INEC election budget in just one moment. But Honorable Abubakar, let me just ask you very quickly. When you look at all of the factors at play now, your party has said very openly and clearly, we've heard recently from the national chairman of your party, Adams Oshomole, to the effect that they do not accept that a presiding officer can be from a minority party presiding over a majority. In your view, is this kind of ratcheting up of tensions and some of this kind of high wire rhetoric that we're hearing, is that kind of playing into what we're seeing in terms of the lack of consensus on the issues that are mutually affecting both parties, such as the election budget?
Well, I don't want to give a straightforward answer to that, but just like everybody knows, and my colleague here has said, all what is happening is not about procedure, but about politics. You see, we clearly, and it is clearly spelled out, the presiding officers, which is the Senate President and his deputy, Speaker and his deputy, has nothing to do with, according to the procedure and the laws, has nothing to do with political parties. A member of a minority party might become the Senate President or deputy, Speaker or deputy, if all members found all qualities in him. It has nothing to do with the party.
But that directly contradicts your party, sir.
No. It is there that one will look, I don't know, I lack the word to qualify it. If a political party can be the majority in parliament and they form the executive government and they will relax back where you need a simple majority to emerge a leader, and you are the majority there, and you cannot use your number to put one of your own to occupy one of these two seats in either of the chambers, presiding officers. So if something happened, but you see the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999 as amended, says members of a particular chamber, we are operating a bicameral legislature, the Senate and the reps, shall elect their presiding officers among themselves. It has nothing to do with political party.
Very quickly, why is it then, do you think that in view of what's very clear in terms of both the Senate rules and the Constitution, clearly somebody from a minority party can preside, but why is it that it is the clear position of your party that that is not the case? They assert that it's essentially illegal, even though there doesn't seem to be a factual basis for that opinion. Why do you think that is?
Well, I think there has to be a kind of education between we, the members of APC in the legislature, in both chambers, to sit and educate the leaders of our party on procedure. Yes, we have everybody has his right to make a declaration, to make a proclamation, to make a mere sentiment. It could be a thinking of the party that it should have been the case. And probably this is a wake-up call to the majority members of a particular party who feel they are in a majority to wake up and do the needful. But yet, we have our procedures. We have to submit. Nobody can just wake up, go into the chamber, and then do something that is against the law.
I find it very interesting that both of you seem to be singing from the same hymn sheet this morning. And apart from the little issue about when you're going to resume, which is yet to be very clear, you both know that you're going to resume in this week, but when precisely is what is still not clear. Am I right on that?
Yeah.
Generally, on almost all the other issues, you seem to be singing from the same hymn sheet. You talked about politics being one of the influences. Let's quickly take a look at the headline of The Guardian this morning. The Vanguard. Let me quickly take a look at that. He says, Saraki will take over NASS. If we're talking about, this is coming from the Buhari campaign organization. Some people are threatening, that's the headline there. We'll take over NASS if we don't know the conditions yet, and that's being attributed to the Buhari campaign organization. To what extent do you think that external influences can have any you know, any influence on what is going to happen in the National Assembly this week? Because it would seem that, you know, the parties already have their own idea of what should happen when the National Assembly resumes, but it would seem that members of the National Assembly are saying that is none of our business. We have our rules and procedures. Let's start with you, Honorable Abubakar.
Yeah, just like you said that we are on the same page with my colleague, because here we actually separated what we call procedure, rules and rule of law, for people to operate within the ambit of the law. That we conquer. As for the politicking, you cannot stop people from saying what they are. Like just what you read in the Vanguard headline. Yeah, people are making, this is their thinking. But you see, there are a lot of protests that goes about ignorantly. People come to National Assembly with placard. To them, they have taken over. There was a kind of a scenario that we want to close down NASS about the budget padding, this and that. A lot of people have come there. But that does not derail or made us to derail from the procedure. So, like I said here, members of the public might have their own thinking. But then, we as elected legislators, we are duty-bound, we are under oath to really do things according to the law governing us. If somebody there misbehaves, then you don't expect us to queue in and misbehave as well. So we are good citizens that we swore, we are under oath to protect the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, irrespective of my party. So party, the platform that came up. If I have gone against the party, then the party, through the leadership in the National Assembly, and then invariably to the party, they have a way, a procedure of reprimanding me as a person. Now, so this issue of, forget about call. I appeared on this forum and I have been calling people to actually give due diligence to our Constitution, even the Act establishing National Assembly, so that you know the right and privileges and the working principle of the National Assembly before you comment.
Honorable Shawulu.
Well, my take about this is that, you see, the National Assembly since 1999, I was a legislative aide. I worked for the Right Honorable Galina Abba, has always had his view, the way things should work. We had a lot of tension in 1999. There were at least 9 attempts to remove Galina Abba from the office of the Speaker. And that has been the problem. There was a time that the Senate, you had Okadugbo was removed, Enwerem was removed, and then you had Pius Anyim became Senate President. But by the time Pius Anyim was leaving, the government was ending, the relationship between Pius Anyim and the president was worse than the relationship between between Okadugbo and Obasanjo and the president. The reason is simple. There are institutional roles and responsibilities. I assure you, without any fear of contradiction, if Adams Oshomole or President Muhammadu Buhari became a member of the National Assembly today, he will have the same running problem with whoever is in the executive. It's just for us, it happens everywhere. And the point that we must note is that the major distinguishing feature between a democratic process and a process that is not democratic is the existence of a legislature. The legislature should not be a rubber stamp. Coming to compare the National Assembly with the State Assembly was very disheartening for me, because in the National Assembly comprises of all the 36 states. Everybody is coming to the center with the way he does things, and it's like a melting pot. What I think we should be looking at is, what is the future of this country? What is going to make things better? If you look at all the indices that people are looking at around the world, economic indices, indices on global terror, indices on fragility of states, indices on transparency and the rest of them, Nigeria is taking a nosedive, a dip. And in fact, even these things that have happened, let me tell you, the siege on the National Assembly, what happened in Benue State, will be reflected in the reports that are going to come out the next 2 years, and Nigeria will dip further.
Honorable, sorry to interrupt you. You know, I'm wondering whether this is your thinking, both your thinkings on either side of the divide, PDP and APC, whether this thinking is widespread within the National Assembly, or
Yes.
this is just unique to both of you who are here in our studios this morning. I'm wondering just how widespread that thinking is.
At the sit-out in the National Assembly, there were APC members. There were sitting APC members. Because, see, if you destabilize the National Assembly, for instance, it doesn't help the president in any way. It doesn't help the president.
If you confirm that this is widespread, if you confirm that indeed this is how a lot of you are thinking this morning, I'm wondering then, how do you think you're going to deal with the political, how will I put it now? Is it political issues that we currently have on the external? I mean, your party is asking for the impeachment, is calling for the impeachment or resignation of the Senate President. Your party is saying declare seats vacant. How are the leadership going to manage all of this demand? Well, I think we'll pose this question to you when we come back from this break. Please stay with us.